My mother and sister had a fight in the gym. I jumped in without any reason, and they broke my head. The 6 a.m. crowd at Planet Fitness was the usual mix of early risers and night shift workers trying to squeeze in a workout before heading home. I'd been coming here for 3 months, ever since I moved back to town, and I knew the rhythm, quiet desperation mixed with determination, the smell of industrial-strength disinfectant barely masking the sweat, and the hypnotic clank of machines that had seen better days. I was halfway through my usual routine 20 minutes on the treadmill, then weights when I heard a voice that made my blood run cold. "Don't you dare walk away from me, Rebecca." Mom's voice cut through the ambient noise of the gym like a surgical scalpel. I nearly stumbled off the treadmill, catching myself on the handrails as I whipped my head around to locate the source of the disturbance. There she was, near the free weights section, looking like a storm cloud in her black workout gear. At 62, Eleanor Santos still carried herself like the former army nurse she'd been, straight spine, shoulders back, ready for battle. Her graying hair was pulled into a severe bun, and her dark eyes were locked on a target 20 feet away. My sister Rebecca stood frozen by the lat pull-down machine, her face flushed red with embarrassment and anger. At 35, she'd inherited Mom's stubborn streak but Dad's gentle features, which made her look younger than her years even when she was furious. Right now, she looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "Mom, please," Rebecca hissed, glancing around at the other gym members who were pretending not to stare. "Not here. Not now." "When, then?" "You've been avoiding my calls for 2 weeks. You won't come to Sunday dinner. You're acting like a child, and I'm tired of it." I stepped off the treadmill, my workout forgotten. This was bad, really bad. Mom and Rebecca had been at odds for months over Rebecca's recent divorce, and their fights had been escalating in both frequency and intensity. But they'd never brought their drama into public before. "I'm acting like a child." Rebecca's voice pitched higher, attracting more attention. "You're the one who can't accept that your 35-year-old daughter made a decision you don't agree with." "A decision? Is that what you call destroying your marriage over some midlife crisis?" The words hit Rebecca like a physical blow. I watched her face crumple for just a second before the anger took over completely. "Midlife crisis," she repeated, her voice getting dangerously loud. "Midlife crisis? I left Tom because he was having an affair, Mom. I left him because I found him in our bed with his secretary. But sure, let's call it a midlife crisis." The gym had gone almost completely silent now. Even the music seemed quieter. A few people had stopped their workouts entirely to watch the drama unfold. Mom's face went pale. This was clearly news to her. "Rebecca, you never said." "I never said because you never asked. You just assumed I was being dramatic. You assumed I was throwing away a good thing because I was bored or restless or whatever other theory you'd cooked up in your head." I could see this spiraling out of control from across the room. Rebecca was starting to cry, Mom looked stricken, and the entire gym was getting a front row seat to our family's dirty laundry. Someone needed to intervene before this got any worse. That someone, apparently, was going to be me. I started walking toward them, my mind racing through possible de-escalation strategies. Maybe I could suggest they take this conversation outside. Maybe I could remind them where they were, get them to lower their voices. Maybe I could. "You want to know why I don't come to Sunday dinner?" Rebecca continued, her voice cracking. "Because every time I see you, you look at me like I'm a failure. Like I'm some cautionary tale about what happens when women don't know how to keep their husbands happy." "That's not I never." Mom struggled for words, clearly shaken by Rebecca's revelation about Tom's affair. "You have. Ever since the separation started, you've been dropping hints about compromise, about working things out, about how marriage requires sacrifice. You never once asked if I was okay. You never once asked what actually happened. You just assumed I was the problem." By now I was close enough to smell Mom's familiar perfume mixed with the gym's perpetual odor of rubber and sweat. Close enough to see the tears threatening to spill from Rebecca's eyes. Close enough to do something monumentally stupid. "Hey," I said, stepping between them with my hands raised peacefully. "Maybe we should take this outside." Both women turned to look at me, and I was struck by how similar their expressions were in that moment, identical flashes of surprise followed by irritation at my interference. "Danny," Mom said, her voice strained. "This doesn't concern you." "Actually," Rebecca added, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand, "this really doesn't concern you at all." I felt a flash of annoyance. Here I was, trying to help, trying to save them both from further public embarrassment, and they were dismissing me? I'd been watching their relationship deteriorate for months, had been fielding phone calls from both of them complaining about the other, had been trying to play peacekeeper while they tore each other apart. "It concerns me when my family is having a screaming match in public," I said, my voice sharper than I'd intended. "It concerns me when you're both so focused on being right that you've forgotten other people exist." "Excuse me?" Rebecca's eyebrows shot up. "Other people? You mean you?" "I mean everyone." I gestured around the gym, where at least a dozen people were still watching our little drama unfold. "Look around. You're giving everyone here a free show." Mom followed my gaze and seemed to notice the audience for the first time. Her face flushed with embarrassment, but instead of apologizing or suggesting they move somewhere private, she turned back to me with renewed fury. "Don't you dare lecture me about appropriate behavior, Daniel. Where were you when your sister was going through her divorce? Where were you when she needed support?" The attack caught me off guard. "I what? I was here. I've been here. I've been listening to both of you complain about each other for months." "Listening," Rebecca repeated flatly. "Right. Listening to us complain and then telling us both to just get over it and work things out. That's not." But even as I started to protest, I realized there was some truth to what she was saying. I had been encouraging them to reconcile, to find middle ground, to stop fighting. Wasn't that what any reasonable person would do? "You know what your problem is, Danny." Mom's voice had taken on that particular tone she used when she was about to deliver a diagnosis nobody wanted to hear. "You think you can solve everything by being nice. You think if you just smile and suggest compromise, everyone will magically get along. And you think being a mediator makes you superior to the people actually having the conflict," Rebecca added. "Like you're above all this messy emotional stuff because you never take sides." I felt like I was being attacked from both flanks. I was trying to help. "No," Mom said firmly. "You were trying to make us stop being upset so you wouldn't have to deal with our emotions anymore." "That's not true. Isn't it?" Rebecca stepped closer to me, her face intense. "When's the last time you asked me how I was feeling about the divorce instead of how I was getting along with Mom? When's the last time you asked about my actual experience instead of just trying to fix the family dynamic?" The question hit me like a slap. Because the truth was, I couldn't remember. Every conversation we'd had about her divorce had eventually circled back to her relationship with Mom, to family harmony, to finding ways to make everyone happy. "And when's the last time you called just to talk to me?" Mom added, instead of calling to update me on Rebecca or to hint that I should be more understanding. I felt cornered, attacked by the two people I'd been trying to help. "This is insane. You were literally screaming at each other 3 minutes ago, and now you're both mad at me for trying to stop it?" "We're not mad at you for trying to stop it," Rebecca said, her voice getting calmer but somehow more cutting. "We're mad at you for thinking our relationship is something you can manage from the outside. We're mad at you for treating our conflict like it's an inconvenience to you instead of something real and important to us," Mom added. The words stung because they were true. I had been treating their fights as problems to be solved rather than emotions to be understood. I had been more concerned with restoring peace than with understanding why they were at war in the first place. Look, I said, my voice getting defensive, maybe I haven't handled this perfectly, but at least I'm trying to keep this family together while you two are. While we're what? Rebecca interrupted. While we're having real feelings about real problems. While we're actually dealing with our issues instead of pretending they don't exist. I don't pretend. You absolutely do, Mom said. You've been pretending that Rebecca's divorce is just a communication problem between her and me. You've been pretending that if we all just try harder to get along, everything will be fine. Because it will be. Because families should support each other instead of. Instead of what? Rebecca's voice was rising again. Instead of having boundaries. Instead of calling each other out when we're being hurtful. Instead of having real relationships with real conflicts. I felt something hot and frustrated building in my chest. This is ridiculous. I try to help, and you both turn on.